r/AskReddit. Deaf people of Reddit. What are some things you thought were silent, but later found out they weren't? Not deaf, but I do have 70% loss in both ears. I got my first set of hearing aids this year. I never knew that a turn signal had a clicking sound. Apparently neither does anyone else, as they leave them on for miles. One time I watched a truck keep making lane changes on the highway every so often, while his right directional was on. I swear we drove behind him for at least 10-15 minutes and he never shut it off. Although to be fair, at times he was unknowingly correctly signaling when he'd make a right lane change. Deaf in my left ear since birth, and I remember when I started listening to music on my Walkman that I didn't like the way it sounded. I was so upset that some of my songs sounded like they are missing parts. Didn't realize till I was 14 it was because it was in stereo. Good old mono audio. Making one earbud in fun again. Duck in every old song from the 60s and 70s has half the instruments exclusively in one ear and the other half in the other. I think a broken right earbud in 9th grade was the single biggest factor in me getting out of my classic rock phase. After I got hearing aids, I was amazed that escalators made noise. I stopped my wife from getting on one because it was so loud I thought it was broken. Vending machines make way too much noise, especially soda machines. Weirdest was that I didn't realize that people can hear things that are behind them. This tripped me out because I think I relied so much on visual cues. Like you could stand behind me and talk and I'd have no idea you were there or what you were saying. Did you ever try to literally talk behind someone's back? Funny, but I never attempted it. I knew my hearing sucked and kinda assumed that everyone else could hear everything going on. So I didn't dare do anything like that around superheroes. I was deaf as a real little kid and I would scream all the time. Nobody knew for a while, so my teachers were always mad at me, but I never knew why. Then I heard myself and realized 3-year-old screams make you want to hurt something. So you regained your hearing? Or probably got hearing aids or something. My newest kitty. I only have about 20% hearing, and I found out from my roommate that he's a rather vocal little thing. And grunts and groans and makes noises all the time. I have an opposite one. The cat I had growing up was deaf. He felt no need to control his meow volume. And his meow was weird. But 4 AM, and he starts screaming at 110% volume for no reason. My 18-year-old cat has been going deaf and seems to be losing his memory. He walks into rooms and starts screaming until someone comes to find him in the house he's lived in for the past 17 years. It's a weird, whooping yell that makes you think he's like seriously hurt or something. But no. He just walked into the bathroom and can't find his way out the wide open door right behind him. I love the old bastard so much. Edit. To everyone saying we should take him to the vet. We have. And we continue to. The old man is losing his vision. Is mostly deaf. Has hypothyroidism. A heart murmur. And dementia. We are doing everything we can. And he's as happy as he can be. He gets all the food and cuddles he wants. We groom him because he doesn't do it himself. And he gets warm baths, which he enjoys. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to make it too much longer, no matter what we do. So we are mostly focusing on keeping him as relaxed as possible, with minimum distress. My best friend is deaf. He also has 2 older brothers who are deaf. When they were growing up, the 2 older brothers thought their mom was magic because whenever she went to the front door, someone was always outside. It's like she could summon someone there whenever she wanted. The 2 brothers would try everything, day after day, to try and see if they could make someone appear at the front door. Their mom asked them why they were messing with the front door so much, and they said that they are trying to figure out how she makes people appear at the front door. They begged her to show them the trick of how she did it. She opened the front door, took them outside, turned them around and said, "See this button? That's called a doorbell. When someone comes to the door, they push it and it makes a sound inside. Then I go to the door and let them in." It was the biggest mind-blowing moment for them, and it's a classic story in their family. Honest question. How do deaf people know when someone is at the door? Doorbell light. I'm not deaf, but have extremely bad hearing with the prediction of losing my hearing before 40 years old. I didn't know bugs make noise. I saw movies and shows where flies, or mosquitoes or bees would make buzzing sounds. I always thought that was created for TV to show that there is a small flying bug nearby. Kind of like, hey, you can't see it because it's small, but you all know this noise means it's there. It blew my mind when my husband told me that they genuinely make noise. That noise is actually pretty important to some insects. For example, male mosquitoes listen for the sound of female mosquitoes' wing beats in order to find a mate. Can we cock block mosquitoes by constantly pumping out the sound of female wing beats, thus jamming that signal? My buddy got a cochlear implant. He stopped by and noticed a few things. His hands rubbing on his jeans. Took us a while to figure out what he was hearing and asking us about. He also said there was a loud beep that was driving him crazy. It was a little bloop that happened on the TV when flipping through a list. He was like, and you guys enjoy that? Cochlear implants unfortunately don't give very natural sound. I can easily imagine something like the channel change beep comes out sounding much louder / uglier than normal. Edit. I should probably make clear that I'm not a cochlear implant user myself. A number of people who are have replied that it sounds fine once you get used to it. But the story above is about a new user, so he'd presumably still be adjusting to it. Especially if they are not used to being constantly bombarded by noises 24/7. They probably can't help getting hypersensitive to noises and can easily get overwhelmed. My mom didn't realize you could tell who's coming down the hallway by the sound their shoes make. Same with dogs and their nails on the tile. I actually told my boyfriend the other night that I wondered what my distinctive walking down the stairs / fall sounded like to other people, since each person has their own unique sounding walk. My dad's foot always made a pop sound every time he walked up the stairs late at night. When I was young I was always staying up late, playing games or reading books, and to catch me, he would try to sneak up the stairs. No matter how quietly he walked I could always hear that pop, so I was always one step ahead. Lived with a deaf roommate. His family was generationally deaf. Parents, siblings, etc. Some things he learned as my roommate. 1. Pots and pans are loud AF. 2. Vacuum cleaners make lots of noise, especially at 3 AM. 3. Running water from a tap left on, again, makes sound. Things I learned. 1. To put in earplugs before turning on his car. 2. Pacing in my bedroom makes enough vibration to wake someone up. 3. ASL is a full damn language and super cool. Upvoted for ASL is a full damn language. Linguistics nerd here, and I get excited when people understand that ASL isn't just a translation of English and actually is its own full, independent language. I didn't realize that. I've always assumed it was just a direct translation. That's really interesting. My ASL instructor mentioned that it takes a while for a lot of deaf guys to learn to pee quietly. Also, they're very bad at judging how loud their fart is going to be or just was. They make sounds. First time I got my hearing aids. Walked out of the office I got them at. Immediately heard rushing water. Ran over to the edge of the parking lot to discover a massive waterfall that I didn't know about before. That seems like a great design choice. You mean how they built the waterfall next to the office for newly hearingable people? A girl in my gamer guild for a while was deaf. She told me once she didn't realize the first few times she had X that there was noise other than people's voices involved, until a partner made a comment about it. A friend of a friend's parents were deaf, but he could hear. He said that he could listen to their parents having X on a regular. Haha. So like, they think as long as they're not making noises with their mouth, it's totally incognito. Slap 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 squeak squeak squeaky squeak. Not deaf, but in high school I took ASL classes. My teacher went to Gallaudet University and lived in the dorms. She was hearing. After a semester or two, she visited home and was awake late one night making some food in the kitchen. Her mom got up and basically yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" My teacher realized she was slamming cupboards and cabinets and being loud in general. Funny how absence of sound makes you louder. Edit. Word order. I don't understand. Was she just used to not maintaining noise discipline because everyone around her was deaf? Precisely. I'm not dead, but my girlfriend's mommies. She had no idea when two objects rub against each other it makes a noise. Like tapping fingers on a phone, or when you run your hand across something. Edit. Deaf not dead. Edit 2. English is hard. I'm sorry for her loss. Get that /s out to their boy. Oh hit he did. I remember walking outside after getting my hearing aids. I heard birds for the first time. Were they being judgmental with their condescending chirps? They're birds. Of course they were